Hello, I'm delighted to be with you all. I really resonated with the message of Dr. Lisa Miller in the neuroscience and spirituality video. It was just such a lovely message. The science to support spirituality, the inclusiveness of all religions, the knowing how important it is to develop the inner core and spirituality in order to have resilience and to fight against suicide. But I think it does far more than this. It allows us to expand our horizons. It gives support to a spirituality that we can enjoy in nature. But also, it gives educators research that shows the importance of developing the inner being, the importance of developing the whole child. Not just academics are important. I also like the message of nurturing loving relationships. To have less than that in a school is to deprive children, and in some cases, it harms children. A very sad fact is that in the USA, 97% of school shooters have been in those schools. What would happen if we had programs that created inclusion, that nurtured hearts, that provided social and emotional skills, that nurtured teachers and had teachers and students co-create cultures of caring, peace, and respect. So on that line, I would like to share with you a program that does exist and can be easily used to achieve those aims. We've been doing this program since 1996. We started piloting it in 1997. And the first thing I want to share with you, because of the audience today, educators who are interested in awakening spirituality and positivity with all students and inclusion, I would like to share with you the results of a school that has been using living values education for 20 years. I've selected one in Kuwait, the Kuwait American School. You can read some of these comments. The school has grown to be a family. There's a strong feeling of welcome, joy, and acceptance. Once the Minister of Education came and he asked Peter, the principal, Peter Williams, "Why are your students so happy?" And one of the students replied, "We live our values." Interesting. It's a peaceful atmosphere in the school. I had the opportunity to visit once, and it was wonderful. But the students live their values. There's no physical violence. There was once 4th and 5th graders who shoved each other a little bit after a soccer game. So that was resolved in a creative way. Peacetime is practice, mindfulness is practice, academic standards are high, achievement is terrific. The attendance is wonderful, 97% for students, 95% attendance by teachers. So the principal wrote in his book, which is shown, but it's also in the 3rd chapter of the new LVE training guide, the importance of 3 principles. He felt the most important 3 were the loving presence of the educator in a values-based atmosphere who models and lives their values with kindness. The importance of enabling trust in the promotion of well-being, care, and high-quality learning for their students. Healing strength in nurturing and guiding hearts and minds through LVE. So they've had some lovely results. Is it replicable? Absolutely. Usually I start workshops with the question, what 2 values would most change the world if everyone lived them? And I'm sure that you might be able to imagine that. What 2 values would you choose? And if everyone lived them, what would happen in the world? Many of you would give different answers, but you're all right. Universal values are something we all hold at our core. And to open those up and allow people to is to allow people to open their hearts. In 1995, about the same time that this program was developed, UNESCO published a study, and they had looked at many different educational systems around the world. And what they found out was that most educational systems teach students how to do and to know, but almost none taught the students about being and about living together. And they recommended this highly if we were to achieve peace and international understanding in the world. Obviously, that has yet to happen, but we can still do it. What is the purpose of the education that the children are being given? Values can guide a purpose. If they don't have those values, what will happen? As Aristotle said, to educate without values, this is no education at all. Education without values is no education at all. We're not only concerned with Dr. Miller about suicides. I think all of us are concerned about the growing unkindness, bullying, and violence in the world and in schools. And a recent study just 3 years ago showed that what is most important in changing the culture of violence and conflict is a positive school climate and social and emotional learning. These are the hallmarks of living values education. So what is living values education? Nurturing hearts, educating minds. The LVE educators or educators who want to undertake LVE are asked to model their values, just as we might encourage parents to be peaceful and respectful to their children and guide them gently and with wisdom. A lot of educators do this really, really well. What if they had a supportive system to do that in? LVE is based on the understanding that young people, from infants through young adults, indeed most of us as adults, We do much better in an atmosphere in which we feel loved, valued, respected, and understood. It's a lot easier to go to work if that's happening. But in LVE, we specialize in workshops to help educators understand how to do that. And then we provide opportunities. So for the students, they would provide that by facilitating activities so that the students become co-creators of a culture of peace, caring, and respect. So young children have activities, they learn healthy social and emotional skills. These include intrapersonal skills, such as quietly being exercises and relaxation, focusing exercises. For little children, it's filling the self with love and peace and respect. For older children, it's guided commentaries, and it includes that, but it also includes skills for them to look at their pain, surround it with love, send peace to the world, send healing, send love to the world. There's many things that help them deal with some of the troubles that currently exist. LVE supports respect and dignity for each person, each religion, each nationality, each method of gender identification. The curriculum is designed to work with diverse cultures and backgrounds. The three core assumptions: universal values teach respect and dignity for each and every person. Learning to enjoy those values promotes well-being for individuals, their families, the school, the larger society. Each student does care about values and has the capacity to positively create and learn when provided with opportunities. I remember an educator in Oakland, and she contacted me and she said, Diane, I formed a Living Values club after school, and these kids are in a terrible neighborhood and they're not going to be interested in peace. I want to start with respect. They really need it. And I said, Tanya, trust me, start with peace. She called me 2 weeks later and she said, well, I'm having one problem. And I said, what's that? She said, I can't get the kids out of the classroom after the class. They were very concerned about peace. And what we do in Living Values is we have them open their box before we put things in. So they get to create, visualize what they want in a better world, in a peaceful world, what that would look like. And then they're interested in developing the skills for that. It's a very beautiful process. That students thrive in a values-based atmosphere, in a positive, safe environment of mutual respect and care. So the purpose, to provide guiding principles and tools for development of the whole person, recognizing that the individual is comprised of physical, intellectual, emotional, and spiritual dimensions. These are the values, the 12 values that we began working on when the project was started in August of 1996. We started out with a educator kit, and then we gradually wrote books. In 2001, there was a series of 5 books that were published. LVE is built on 2 main things. One of them is the theoretical model and its understanding and development of quality teaching methods that resonate in that particular culture that can be adapted by teachers to that culture. And this has the hypothesis that whatever is the behavior, be it positive or negative, that when we treat people in such a way that they feel loved, valued, respected, understood, and safe, then those young people, or even adults, will grow towards that potential. When we treat people in such a way that they feel inadequate, hurt, afraid, shamed, or unsafe, they do not grow towards their potential. And so in a workshop, we have them imagine what it would be like to have this kind of school. And then we work with reality, look and see what the negatives are, and see how we can convert these to positives. In living values, the expression is stay above the line. Research shows that when students are in a safe, nurturing environment, they learn better. They learn more easily. They are more motivated. They are more enthusiastic. So there's the values-based atmosphere, and then there's values units. So the teacher would facilitate living values activities if they choose to be involved. And so in each values unit, there are all of these things. And so there's a values stimulus, a values awareness, but that does not make a values education approach effective. It's very important to allow them the opportunity to express and to be able to see clearly the effect of values on their life, on relationships, on business, on the community, on the world. And so children 8 and above participate in mind mapping. They mind map, for example, peace versus respect versus lack of peace. And they give all the answers and they see what impact it has. And then at the end, they do a creative activity to give some expression. So there's all these things. When they get to express and they are allowed to do creative expression, values become their own. But also there's skill development because they must, we want them to develop love for the values, but they need skills in order to live them. So conflict resolution skills, how to deal with bullies skills, interpersonal skills includes positive self-talk, the quietly being exercises, and then of course, looking at larger issues, for example, climate change, and then integrating those in their life. The Living Values Education activity books have been recently updated and expanded. This one came out just 3 years ago for children 3 to 7. And this came out just a little bit before that. One for children in ages 8 to 14. And then there's one for young adults, which many people are using with adults, different organizations, businesses. Adults can actually be LVE facilitators if they want to use the activities with their colleagues. Book 1 The book was getting so big that I realized that teachers would get carpal tunnel if they were to hold a 500-page book. So I cut the book in half and just put in 8 values. And so some of the old activities are with these values. We do peace first, and respect, and tolerance, and love, generally speaking. But one that was added in the recent editions is simplicity and caring for the earth and our oceans. This is something that young people are very concerned about right now, as you know. I have not yet written book 2, but these are the values units that will be in book 2. Peace and respect, because they're so important, but different activities. Compassion is a new one. Another value we love, because so many people have other values, whether it's Ubuntu or whether it's gratitude, or something that's particular to that community, that nation. So to provide sort of guidelines for that. And there are also other new books. This one was from this year. It's a parenting guide. And this is the training guide that was done, finished at the end of last year. Living Values also has other programs. For 5 years, we went to refugee camps in Thailand. And this is me right here at a much younger age. But the results were astonishing. I mean, the students were so depressed when we went. And little children didn't even play. And at the end of 2 years, the culture at the camps had changed completely. And the children were doing creative play, spontaneous play, imaginative play. There was laughter. Before that, the section leaders in these 2 camps of 11,000 people used to have to spend most of their time on sorting out fights between gangs. There was not one fight after 2 years. There may have been a need for conflict resolution, but by then the students were very, very good at it. And the teachers no longer had to do it. We also have a program for drug rehab. And then there's other resources as well. And these, Terry Levitt and Ron Toomey, are 2 values education researchers in Australia. I believe they worked out at the University of Newcastle, but I may be wrong. Anyhow, I found what they said to be very interesting. Values education is being seen increasingly as having a power quite beyond a narrowly defined moral or citizenship agenda. It is being seen to be at the center of all that a committed teacher in school could hope to achieve through teaching. It is in this respect that it can be fairly described as the missing link in quality teaching and quality. And so I would like to invite you all to partake in an LVE Zoom training, if you would like. We would probably do 8 90-minute sessions. And so if you're interested, you may email me at Diane@livingvalues.net. I am very honored to speak with a group of educators that love nurturing students and want them to be safe. And I believe that it is by creating and caring for every student at school, this atmosphere, an atmosphere of belonging. It's so important that everyone belong, that everyone be included. It's so important that children know how to not create violence and know how to communicate and resolve difficult situations when they come up with kindness, sometimes with detachment, but with kindness, with peace, with respect. Have a wonderful conference, and thank you again for asking me to share.